Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Good evening, Internet, and welcome. Welcome. It is Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's time for Gaming Gumbo. That's Ready Check Radio's weekly gaming wrap-up here, broadcasting it live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Hope you'll come and join us for an episode or two live of this show or any of our other shows. Hang out and just, generally be a nuisance in chat. It's always fun. You can find all of our socials and everything via ReadyCheckRadio.com. If you're listening on Spotify, that's RAIDEO, Ready Check Radio. But I'll tell you what, if you spell it normally, you'll still end up in the right place anyway, because we're kind of smart like that. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff in the world of gaming to cover, and I've got hosts to talk about it with me. Please welcome first up, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
It's Saturday evening. It's cold and wet and rainy outside, so I don't care that I'm wearing an old beat-up hoodie with the torn collar.
We can't see it anyway because Discord hates you.
Oh, really? Yeah, you
like
really can't. I'm even that far up, too. Jeez. Okay, see,
you're,
torn collar
and
there
Discord, it looks like you're wearing gray pixels.
I know, yeah.
Also on the line, but
because it is cold and rainy, yeah.
Not pixels. Yod, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Got
what do you got there?
Little friendly furry friend here.
Yeah, you do have like a Dr. Evil vibe going.
Of course, now that the show started, he's trying to leave.
Right. Definitely have the Dr. Evil vibe going on. Well, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. This is the Gaming Weekly wrap-up, so it is a bit all over the place as far as what we may be covering. If you're looking for World of Warcraft news, though, you want to look towards our podcast, Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast that we do on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. If you're looking for Final Fantasy XIV or Square Enix stuff, check out the Relic Grind on Thursday. So if you're looking for news on Shadowlands or the upcoming 5.4 patch for Final Fantasy XIV, go check out those shows. We're not going to cover those here and rehash them, but there is plenty of chat on both of those topics available for you, and you can find those episodes archived on our website and on YouTube. Here, though, we're going to talk about all other things gaming, and this is another one that I do want to bring up here since we haven't talked about it on Ready Check Radio. Jason and I have extensively talked behind the scenes and on camera about this topic elsewhere, though. So if you want to see some more information, more in-depth information about Daybreak being bought again, the company overseeing EverQuest and PlanetSide and all those titles, check out the free-to-play cast on mmobomb.com. That just went up yesterday, and Jason and I talked quite a bit about it there. But since that doesn't air on Ready Check Radio, I do think we should kind of talk about that a little bit. It's a pretty big deal seeing the EQ IP and all of the other companies, Standing Stone Games, Darkpaw, all those companies underneath Daybreak, picked up for about $300 million. When you count all the stock and everything in there, Jason.
We got Dr. Evil, too, so you can do the million thing.
Yeah, yes, do it. You got to do it. Yes, $300 million. It is a pretty big deal as far as a scrape, and maybe ultimately a good thing for Daybreak, Jason.
I mean, it couldn't really be a bad thing, probably. I mean, considering, I was thinking to myself, since they were bought by Columbus Nova or Jason Epstein or whoever, I think the only games they've technically launched, are PlanetSide Arena and Landmark. Like, you gotta do better than that.
Well, it was H1Z1.
Oh, yeah, H1Z. Oh, yeah, right. And all the various permutations of that, right?
Yeah,
right, yeah.
The 900.
But yeah, I mean, that's all they've gotten. That's all they've still got because basically all three of those games are gone now. So, I mean, if they're going to do something different, they needed probably an influx of cash to do it, and this is what it's going to provide.
Yeah, does this news bring you
I
any...
actually had went to go in and do some research on who these people were.
Oh, great! So you don't watch the free to play cast? Okay, awesome.
Tarkov doesn't watch the free to
note.
play cast either. He doesn't even read our site.
Tarkov. Okay, I'm writing down a list of all the people that are shocked by this news or had to do research. It means that they don't watch Jason and I or read any of our MMO bomb stuff. I'm sorry. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's all right. It's all right. Because I didn't know exactly how the company that bought them deals with other companies and what that company actually does when they do purchase other companies.
By the way, I think we should mention the company's name is Enad Global 7,
right,
also known as EG7. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning. I just said that they were bought, not by whom. Go ahead.
Right,
Chad.
which they seem to be kind of like what NCSoft did back in the day, where they just wanted to release stuff. They wanted to distribute stuff. So, buy up the company, let the company do their thing, and then we'll distribute. So that's not a terrible thing.
Well, I mean, by comparison, I see what you're saying here. Like, but if you look at its original purchaser, Columbus Nova, which then years later, Daybreak, this is a whole other thing. Go read it on MMO Bomb. We have all the stuff there. Said, hey, they didn't buy us. We were bought by one guy. It really doesn't matter what you believe there, whether you think Daybreak wasn't being honest, whether you think it was just poor communication. Like, none of that matters. Whether their original purchase away from Sony Online Entertainment was done by investment company Columbus Nova or investment gentleman Jason Epstein.
Right.
Either way, they were controlled for all intents and purposes by somebody looking at it as an investment, not a development, where I do think with this company, you have maybe a little more hope that there's going to be some development. They also snagged up Piranha Games, who does MechWarrior Online on the free to play gaming side of things, a game that is relatively small in the entire scheme of things. It's got its following because it's MechWarrior, but had not been doing much over the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden, they dropped basically this next 5-year roadmap out of nowhere. They renewed the license. Here's what they want to do with it. They're looking for feedback on things they want to do. And a few days later, we find out, oh, they were just purchased by this company. So it seems like maybe this company, Jason, is a little more willing to fork some money out. Even in the Daybreak stuff, they said, hey, we're looking at, revitalizing Lord of the Rings Online graphically, potentially looking at consoles. We have a Marvel license, which was a shock to all of us. That they had a Marvel license, considering they make DCUO. So it does. Maybe that could give them a little bit of, we're going to go somewhere with this, Jason.
Go ahead, Yad. What were you saying?
Didn't they used to do City of Heroes as well?
That was NCSoft.
That was NCSoft. Okay, sorry. A lot of company names and game names and IPs ran through.
All those superhero comics are the same thing. Whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not like I work on any games like that.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. It's like whoever their owner was before, their owner was not a game maker, a game publisher, or developer, or anything like that. Whereas this company does seem to have a pretty good handle on that. A lot of other smaller game companies that they own besides that, Toadman Studios is one of them. They're making that awesome vampire game you're going to love, I know. We covered briefly. Antimatter Games is another one. So they got like at least a half dozen or so different game companies under their banner, and they're maybe looking to get some more. So
yeah,
I think the comparison,
their presentation, their buy presentation, they said that Daybreak was also going to help them with future acquisitions. So
right, yeah. So the comparison to NCSoft is kind of maybe accurate a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of dead on there, Yad. Ultimately, I think it's a net good. We've discussed this in a lot more detail on the free-to-play cast that was posted yesterday on mmobomb.com. I would encourage Yad and Tarkoth to go and check out that show. The last question I want to ask on this show about it, though, is does this mean that maybe we get something out of the EverQuest franchise in the relatively near future, next couple of years, let's say? Because I know as an EverQuest fan that just can't go back to 1 and 2. Every time I try, it lasts like 2 weeks, and then I uninstall it. I would love to see something, not a card game, not a fucking card game, please, not a card game, in the EverQuest IP, in the MMO space. Do you think it's possible now, Yad? Or maybe even more likely?
I think it would be because this new company seems to just want to distribute, but they want more stuff to distribute. Because of course, more stuff to distribute means more money coming in. So if you have an IP like EverQuest, where it's got such a classic feel to so many people, I think you can probably expect to see them make some kind of movement with the game,
Some
whether
kind
it
of
is
play on the IP.
yeah, whether it is that TCG or an
Ugh.
actual MMO or something in the near future.
Jason, it's almost hard to believe that there wasn't something already in the works that this company saw and was like, hey, we're interested in helping with that. Like, I just don't know how you let, besides the expansions for 1 and 2, how you let the EQ franchise just be totally dormant. Like, I mean, absolutely irrelevant besides EQ 1 and 2. So maybe there's something already in the works. Maybe this company wants to put something into the works. I don't know.
There is something in the works. There's a Marvel game.
Yeah, there's
so
a Marvel
there is
game.
that.
Unconfirmed, by the way. We were able to confirm with Daybreak when I spoke to them that it was a Marvel license that they do have. We thought maybe the initial investor presentation on the sale was a typo, and they meant to say DC instead of Marvel because they have DCUO. They did confirm that they have a Marvel license. They would not confirm whether something was already in the works, something was going to be in the works, something was, nothing was in the works. They would not go any further than to just confirm to me that they had the license. So
Yeah, I think though that having
you don't buy that license unless you.
I was going to say making something like a new EverQuest game. I think that's what you need money for. They maybe didn't have that until now, so I don't think it was necessarily something that was already in development in any way.
Yeah, but wouldn't that mean you have an idea of where you want to take it then?
Yeah, sure idea. Well,
Yeah.
EverQuest Next was an idea too. So
yeah. Check it all out. You can get more info over on mmobomb.com, and the free-to-play cast posted yesterday, December 4th. Let's move on. The scalper situation with the PS5 and the Xbox. This just continues to be a train wreck with different scalper teams via bots and via manual pickups, depending on how they're doing it with teams, are picking up anywhere from 1,000 to 2,200 to 3,500 of these consoles. And some of these teams are making huge bank. Huge bank. They're putting them up there for basically, most times, at least double what they're paying, right? They pay $500 and put it up on Amazon or eBay or whatever for $1,000. And they're not having trouble moving them. That's the part that makes me sad. I get that people want these things, but the fact that they're not having trouble moving them to the point that some scalpers have talked about making anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 in a month off of these after, that's their profit on top of their initial things. That means some of these bigger groups that got a hold of 2,500, 3,500 of these, Jason, they're looking at potential profits closing in on $1 million. Over the long run of this. This is just absolute trash. It's just a dumpster fire. But every once in a while, something cool happens on these fronts. Every once in a while.
that would be this one article here, which says online retailer cancels 1,000 next-gen orders placed by scalpers. So yeah, apparently the one retailer in the UK called Very, which is interesting name, but whatever. They apparently said there was a bug in their system that allowed people. They were going to limit it to one per buyer, but they had a bug that allowed more to buy it. And once they found that out, they said, "Nah, cancel, get out of your purchase box." So yeah, nice that they at least maybe they tied up people's money for a little while. I like to think that's what happened, and like it's still on their credit card for 60 days or whatever, so they can't get more. That would be the best way for that to have happened, but yeah, maybe not. But at least some of the evil villainous plots were foiled.
Yeah, they did say that unfortunately, due to this error, there were some legitimate orders that probably got canceled as well. We're sorry, you will be getting refunds for those, but you gotta love when karma just bites in the ass. This is like the pièce de résistance for me on this one.
The pièce de résistance.
The PS5 de résistance.
See what you did there.
Yeah, I see that. Well done. This was
Still applause.
this was a statement on Facebook by one of the scalping groups, Yod, and I want to get your take on this because, like, anytime somebody does something shitty, normally, the human nature is to lie about it at first, right? And then if you have to come clean about it, try to rationalize or justify the behavior.
Yep.
But you could also take that next incredibly manipulative step of, I did this for a good. This comes from Facebook, from one of the scalping groups. I'm reading this verbatim. I am not making this up.
Okay.
Let us explain how it was done. The PS5 hype started back in October with the pre-order release. Members were informed to purchase on go. We were prepared, had our in-house monitors ready, and come the day, 1,000 consoles were secured. The real chaos started on release day. Once again, we prepped the group, informed everyone of the potential, and was ready to go. The day came, members had feasted. 2,472 consoles secured on the day. Not with bots, as some of the media is portraying, all manual. Sure, we have the advantage with our knowledge and monitors, but that's just being prepared. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Lots of our community have been furloughed, made redundant, or at some form of disadvantage due to the pandemic. These people have managed to cover their bills, put food on the table, and supply Christmas presents to their children. It may be unfortunate that a child won't wake up to a PS5 this Christmas, but another child may have woken up to nothing. We have no regrets.
Ooh.
The best part here is just that they're talking about how they were furloughed and out of work, which is, of course, you can make the case that it's the big the billionaires are making millions while the regular people are getting nothing, and yet they're the ones now being the rich people denying the regular people this stuff. So it's like
right, they're trying. There's so many aspects of heartstrings that they're trying to pull on here. With
this
the
is a very
thing, the furlough thing.
Look at how many people we helped.
Right.
No,
like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
What'd you do? You didn't steal them from Sony and pass out the wealth.
No.
Take from the rich corporation and give to the poor corporation. Like, that's not what happened
you just hit
here.
I before someone else on the screen.
All the things that their kids are getting Christmas presents, but not your kids.
Right. So I mean, on one hand,
$40,000 in a week.
Yeah, it's like they used actual people to do this, which takes a lot of coordination. You got to give them that. It takes a lot of coordination, but it's still shitty. Bottom line, it's still shitty.
Jason, it would have been like, hey, we bought all of these and then we sold them for $100 markup so that those who wanted one could get one, and then we made a little bit of scratch on the side to help some people that were furloughed. No. You put them on eBay for 2 and 3 times the market value.
Yeah,
you weren't the good guys in this scenario.
No, not at all. Not at all. No. Wow.
But at least you aren't this guy. Now, okay. Jason and I being in press, we're gonna take you through. I'm gonna take you through a little thing, and Jason, you can by proxy, since you're here and also in press, you can verify that this is the way things work. So, a lot of times when you write a news story on something, you've received a press release from a company. So it's repetition, maybe adding in some of your own personal, opinions on something. That's pretty easy. When you find something somewhere on the internet, first, you can't just say, hey, I want to write this story and write it. You got to verify it, right? Is this even true, what I'm reading? I would like to write it, but is it true? Who does it source? Where is it getting its information? Particularly if you don't know the site, if they don't have any type of reputation. Like if you go to the New York Times, you're probably safe, but you still have some due diligence to do. If you go to jimsblog.com, you probably have extra due diligence to do if you want to check out that story. Sometimes that story you want to write about will have a source in it, and so you click on that source, and you go and you check that source. Now, it doesn't often happen the way that this particular story happened to me before I wanted to. Jason, am I off base in the type of basic due diligence research you do on a news article?
You're about right.
Yeah. There's some extra little tidbits in there, but they don't matter as far as this particular story. I wanted to talk about this story on Gaming Gumbo because I think it's hysterical. However, it did bear some similarities to a meme that has been overseas that I was aware about for a very long time. So, what do? Well, I read the article, and it's sourced, reported by X. All right, I click X. I read the article. This article is also sourcing something. Not the site I just came from, which would have been weird, but a different site. Okay, sometimes this happens. You know, we cover something, another site covers it, they source us, the third site covers it, they source the second one, maybe they source us. It happens. Weird. You should go all the way back, but weird. No joke. I went through 7 articles, Jason, in just a straight line. Nobody sourced each other. It was always site A got it from B. B says they got it from C. C says they got it from D. D to E, E to F, F to G. 7 different sites before I finally was able to track down the original source of what we're going to talk about here. And here's how awesomely reliable this source is, by the way.
I read it. It's difficult.
This is literally Jason selling something online, me buying it, meeting Jason, having a conversation, finish our transaction, leave, tweet that I just bought this thing, and tweet that this is what the dude told me why he was selling it. That is how, like, 7th and 9th party this story is. So whether or not it's 100% true, this one person says, I bought a PlayStation 5 online off of somebody that had one that was selling it. When I went to pick it up and I talked to him a little bit, this is why he was selling it. Not the original person saying that, it's the buyer tweeting out. So that is, like, as far back as I can get with it. But we do have a great story here.
Thanks, everyone. Our time for the show is up. It's been an hour already. Oh, no.
Right.
Just following that line of logic back took that long.
A guy buys a PS5. Wife apparently wasn't going to be happy with this, so he decided to tell her that it was an air purifier because of its awesome shape.
To be fair, you could probably get away with that.
He put it vertically.
There is an air purifier out there that looks like that.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same, but it's very similar.
Told her it was an air purifier. Yeah. She found out, of course, and made him sell it. He goes to sell it online. He was selling it for like a couple bucks over what he paid for it because she just wanted it done. And yeah, that's the story that the buyer says the seller. Now, if you think this sounds familiar, there is a overseas in, I believe it's Korea, there is a long time Flash Speed meme about a guy buying a PS4 Pro and trying to convince his wife that it was an extra large router. And that's a meme and a cartoon and everything. So yeah, this kind of falls in the category, but yeah, at least you're not that guy.
I mean, my PS4 does look like my Asus router. Just saying.
They do look similar.
And the Xbox Series X, that looks like a box from a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, right, you just shove it in the back and say, I'll throw it out later, honey.
You guys did see that when it was launching, right? They were giving away a refrigerator, right?
Yes, that awesome.
was the Xbox. Like it had all the stuff on it.
I
wanted that refrigerator so bad. I retweeted that shit. I never retweet and follow for contests. I was like, retweet. I gotta win this thing. Also on the PS5 front, before we leave this, we did see patents that kind of caused people to think maybe there's already a PS5 Pro in the works, Jason.
I mean, the thing is, it was like 3 years, I think, between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. So even if they've filed a patent for it, they'll do that sort of thing well enough in advance so they don't get this scalp. No, what's the word for when someone takes your patent? Whatever, copyright, whatever.
Yeah, patent stealing.
Yeah, there's a word for that. Anyway, squatter. That's it. But so yeah, just the fact that it's out there and that they have a patent doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It reminds me of, again, to think of Daybreak, how they had a lot of different. We've seen it through the years, a lot of their different games or a lot of titles or whatever that they've filed copyrights for. That some of them turned into something, some of them didn't. So yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a surprise that they're going to have something like this, but I'm not going to say it's going to be 6 months from now or anything.
Yeah, I do think it's one of those things, though, Yod, that when it gets out, people like in our position know, okay, that's probably about 4 years away.
Right.
Fine. That really, if you want a PS5, there should be no reason that you don't, besides it not being available, that you just don't go buy one right now. I mean, because you're going to be waiting 4 years for this. But your average consumer, well, I heard that they're going to be making another one. I can understand why you don't want this to be front and center news right now, particularly when you can't even keep the originals in stock on the shelf at the moment.
Right. That is a very valid point. Though if you like us here and most people with a brain, which I don't know if most people have one of those anymore, but you just look at what they did previously. So there's probably going to be a PS5 Pro. After the PS5 Pro comes out, there's going to be a PS5 Slim. And, that's just the direction they go because they're PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, as opposed to Xbox, asterisks.
Yeah, so don't even try and rattle off those names. We'll be here all night.
Right. So, I mean, it follows its logic. So it's just a matter of when it's going to come out is the thing. And I guess if you don't really look at it that closely or don't realize how time flows, you could want to wait.
Don't realize how time flows. What a weird sentence.
I mean, considering how this whole pandemic time has gone for most of us,
that's true.
Time has no meaning anymore.
We are in the 38th month of 2020.
Exactly. It's still March, dang it.
14th March of 2020. Other PS5 rumors. Now, these have been in the works for a while, and I haven't mentioned them on previous shows. I've seen them around, but they've been getting a little more credence in the last week by some people who have a pretty good track record with PS5 or Sony leaks of information, particularly when it comes to God of War and things like that. And on at least one of these fronts, if the leak is correct, we'll know in 5 days from now when the Video Game Awards go live. So according to these rumors that have been around for about a month and a half or so, but now coming the way of Moore's Law is Dead, who predicted the God of War stuff and has a good track record here, we could be looking very soon at both a Metal Gear Solid remake and the reboot of Silent Hills. And Silent Hills being worked on by Kojima Productions, which I think, if you were happy with the PT demo and very disappointed when Konami and Kojima broke up, this probably makes you very happy. And if you're asking, wait a minute, Kojima and Konami don't get along, how are we doing this? Apparently, Sony is playing divorce attorney between these two parties to kind of get them back in the room to talk. I got to tell you, I'm very excited by both of these, like super excited by both of these. And the part of the rumor that's the most interesting, Jason, is that in 5 days, we'll know how close this was because the Silent Hills stuff for announcement is supposed to be shown as some type of exclusive premiere on the Game Awards on the 10th.
Ooh. First of all, it's Silent Hill. There's only one of them. Only one hill.
No. Second, it's actually Silent Hills. The game that was known as PT was called Silent Hills. And this is looking to carry that name. Yes, it is in the Silent Hill franchise, but this specific game was referenced as Silent Hills.
The article actually uses both, but whatever.
The article uses both in the context of a Silent Hill reboot and the game Silent Hills.
Yeah. Okay. It was canceled finally. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Metal Gear fan. I played the original on NES back in the day, and I'm solid all the way through. Haven't gotten to 5 yet, but I'll get to that someday. But even then, It's like it almost seems like it's almost, and I know it's stupid because it's about the same year that Final Fantasy VII came out, but it still seems like it's just more recent to me, like the whole Metal Gear series does. So I'm not as into the notion of a Metal Gear Solid reboot, although I could see one happening because they're doing the live action movie pretty soon. So
Yeah,
that'd be
just
a great
got word
tie-in.
of the cast
Just
there.
upset that, yeah.
Oscar Isaac, Solid Snake, yeah. So
He looks good for it.
this only works if they do get David Hayter to do the voice. If they
So
don't,
you say he should have a different voice, like Vader
no.
did back in the day.
No, it should still be David Hayter. Is the point? It should still be him. I don't accept anyone else. I'll accept Oscar Isaac in a live action, but nobody else does the video game voice but him.
Okay,
So.
okay, I see what you're going at.
No Kiefer Sutherland.
No,
Kiefer
no.
Sutherland. It's got to be David Hayter.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably more likely, right? Because the issue wasn't necessarily Kojima and David Hayter; it was Konami and David Hayter. And Konami, while obviously involved here, would not be the primary development house. So maybe that'd be nice. Ironically, I thought it was funny that it was Metal Gear Solid was not being worked on by Kojima Productions. That the remake was being handled by a different company, not Kojima. I assume Kojima would be involved in some way, right, Yad? He'd have to be.
Yeah, I don't think it would go well if he wasn't, because there's so much involvement with him in the games, and his fingers in there. It's in the DNA. So you pull it away, and it'd be kind of a hollow shell.
Right, but it is Blue Point Games as well, and if you don't know who that is, they just did the Demon Souls remake.
Okay.
So they got a lot of cred as they built up instant cred with the Demon Souls remake as far as being able to take these older, PS1, PS2,
Right.
PS3 games and do some impressive stuff with them.
Okay,
And
give you
if
that
you're doing just a remake like you did of Demon Souls, then maybe you don't need Kojima Productions involved in any way. You're not really adding to it. It's just a
Right.
remake. So.
It's not like PT Silent Hills where it was under development and got canned.
Yeah, I think you have to go to Kojima for that if you want anything remotely close to what the original plan for it was, right, Jason? I mean, you have to go there.
Yeah, because he's the only one. Only Kojima knows what Kojima's doing. He's a person.
That is true. He's a person. All right. So next week we got a lot of stuff happening in the world of gaming. We talked about some free-to-play stuff over at MMO Bomb. We talked about raids coming to World of Warcraft on Snowbound. We talked about 5.4. What else is on Relic Grind? What else is next week? Next week.
It's gonna sleep through the week.
I don't know. I wish we could go to Twitch and figure out a way, Jason, to figure out what might be coming soon that people are excited about.
Something with a yellow background. I don't know any games like that.
Cyberpunk 2077 still has 5 days to go before its official launch, but you wouldn't know that by going over to Twitch and searching the title right now, as you can see on the screen. There are plenty of hype parties, countdowns, podcasts, just everything going on for CD Projekt Red's title here, being less than a week away. Before we get into some fun news on this stuff, I just got to say, I don't get it. I really don't. I understand being hyped for games. I get hyped for different games. I understand a lot of people being hyped for a particular game. Okay. I do not get just the global hypeness for an unknown IP from, granted, I will give you a competent developer as far as large open scale games, and please don't take this as me demeaning Cyberpunk 2077 at all. I am certainly interested in the title. I'm probably not a day one buyer for this one. And Yad, I think before the show, you said you're probably not a day one buyer, but we're definitely buyers. It's just not day one.
Eventually, I'll get around to picking it up, but it's not like it's an MMO or any game where you're playing with your friends a lot, so you got to keep up with, all the stats and making sure everybody's the same level and all that stuff.
Yeah, Jason, I can't think of a game that has garnered just this wide a hype train behind it for really what is essentially largely unknown. This isn't the next big sequel to something that the world already loved, or It's coming from a good developer. Yeah, I get it. They normally push a day one pretty polished product. I get it. You like the environment. You love Keanu Reeves. I get it. Like, there isn't anything here that I'm like, are you even interested in this game? I'm interested in it too. But God, does it have just like yeah, Zach, I get it. Witcher 3. I loved the Witcher series.
Yeah.
Still love the Witcher series, but this is not The Witcher. If this was Witcher 4, I'd understand it a little more. Jason, go ahead. You were trying to say
it is
something
the it is the sequel to CD Projekt Red. It's CD Projekt Red Part 4 is what it is. So in that sense, it is kind of a sequel. So I get that. But I mean, when you say you never heard about hype like this, I thought to myself, this is an MMO. This is MMO style hype. This is like Star Wars: The Old Republic was, or probably like World of Warcraft was. I wasn't around back then, or like Elder Scrolls Online to some degree. It's
I think it's a
AAA
lot
MMO
bigger.
hype.
I think it's a lot bigger. That's why.
Well,
yeah,
I think
I'm
it seems
having.
bigger. I think it seems bigger because we haven't had that for a long time. We haven't had that game that everybody's interested in. I mean, Bless wasn't on that level. That's about the closest one recently I can think of, because it was really hyped because it was an MMO. I think of something like Bless. I think of WildStar, even up maybe there. People played it because it was an MMO. And we wanted an MMO now. This is on that same level, even if it doesn't have the same exact category. But that's the feeling. That's what I'm thinking of when I think of this. It feels like it's on that same hype level, which is going to result in, of course, a lot of people being really disappointed because it's not going to be absolutely perfect. So
I remember when it was like initially announced, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Not a lot of people are doing cyberpunk type theme stuff, but that kind of makes it a little more niche than The Witcher, maybe, doesn't it? But that's all right. Q and I were talking about it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm into this whole cyberpunk vibe. I'll check it out, see what they're doing." This was before we like saw screenshots or anything like that. You know, and Q over with us on MMO Bomb and volunteering her on Ready Check as mod has been watching this and is very hyped for this one, more hyped than I am. Like, oh well, apparently a lot of people there's a lot of people that like Cyberpunk. I don't think Cyberpunk itself has anything to do with what they like about it. It's CD Projekt Red's next big title, but even then, even if you just make it the argument, Zach, who's in chat talking about this kind of CD Projekt Red's next big project, maybe being I get that, but an open world RPG in a cyberpunky futuristic universe, I would not have guessed that would be the one title of 2020 that people would riot over.
I kind of want to say that the original IP goes back to a pen and paper game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that remembered playing that game and loving their characters in that game, and now those people are grown up and own video game consoles. So it's, I think, a combination of needing a really good game, hoping for a really good game, having so long of a build-up and pushback of, we're not finished yet. We want to make it better, so we're not finished yet. And those people remembering playing their pen and paper games and going, I want that experience again. But this time, I don't have to imagine it. It's on the TV.
It's just Keanu Reeves. That's what Torchwick says.
Yeah.
I mean, Keanu doesn't hurt. I mean,
it definitely doesn't hurt.
That they had going where it's like, I'm sorry, guys. There's really no video game. We just wanted to hang out with Keanu.
Well, we do have 5 days to see if it lives up to the hype, which, Jason, I tend to agree. I don't care what it is. It can't. It's just like, I don't care what the product was. If it was a video game or something else, it just can't at this point. I will be checking it out. This will not be a day one buy, so don't look for me to be streaming it. But if any of the other Ready Check Radio streamers buy it, I'm sure they'll be streaming it.
Are you sure anybody's going to stream it? Anybody?
Nah. There's somebody there with a 5-day countdown on Twitch. Anyway, we still have 5 days till this thing, and that's if you don't talk to Best Buy, because Best Buy went ahead and accidentally sent out copies, particularly of the collector's set. People have been getting them for the last 48 to 72 hours, which did cause CD Projekt Red to go ahead and issue a statement. I'm showing it on the screen here, but I will read it to you. your Cyberpunk 2077 videos and streams before release. We're getting closer and closer to launch, and chances are some of you will get your hands on a copy. People already had by the time they made this statement of Cyberpunk 2077 before release date. However difficult this might be for us to achieve, our ambition is for gamers across the world to have the same spoiler-free experience at the time the game releases. This is why we kindly ask you not to stream Let's Plays or release any similar content before December 9th at 12 p.m. CET, 3 a.m. Pacific U.S. time. We will send Max Tech, you know, the guys who take down videos, after everyone who does. After that date, however, we would love if you'd streamed everything like there's no tomorrow. It's 2020. Who knows? Maybe there isn't. So, besides that, you know, ending on a very bleak note, I remember when Persona 5 came out and they put, like, limits on, and I thought that was absurd for them to do. This one I get, you know, and I do think they're taking the right tack with it, Yad, in here's the date. Don't put or do anything up prior to that. If you do, we're letting you know now. We're coming after you for teardowns, for copyright teardowns. After that time,
the clock strikes,
we don't care. Once the clock strikes, we don't care.
And I'm sure there's people with video backed up waiting for that moment to just flood the net with it. You know, just so they can be first.
Jason, are you interested in this one? I kind of skipped over you. Yeah.
I'm like you though. It's like it's on my wish list on Steam, but I'll get it eventually. I don't need to be a day one player on it. So.
Well, I mean, we also have some other stuff releasing that day, so maybe it's worth, looking at some other titles. Jason, you know, you're a war guy. You like other stuff. Let's see. What do I got here for you? Not the CD Projekt Red. We did that. How about Medal of Honor? Do you remember that, right?
I've heard of it.
They got a title releasing the same day. How'd you like to be those guys?
Not very much.
Getting a new reboot. The reboot's looking kind of interesting, kind of good, and all of a sudden they do that.
I will say though that.
Oh, again, and they make it VR, so that kind of hurts its own launch too right now.
The notion that everybody on the planet is going to be playing Cyberpunk is, I think, a little overblown, especially when you have something that's in a really different genre, like a war shooter. You know, I think I sort of understood what like Path of Exile did when they changed their thing to a different date, but I wouldn't have necessarily done it that way if I was in charge of a game. So. Yeah.
I actually missed the Medal of Honor series. I was happy to see this. Now, being on VR, I'm an adopter, but I'm still not just like all gung ho VR yet. I don't stream it or anything at this point. Maybe in a phase or two here. And obviously, I'm joking. This is not going to go up against Cyberpunk in any meaningful way. But I did want to kind of point out, hey man, Medal of Honor. Kind of trying to make a comeback, and you know what? I'm all for it in the world of it's Call of Duty or nothing else.
Right. Back in the day when they both released, I was actually more of a Medal of Honor player than a Call of Duty. I liked how it worked better. It probably helped that like 4 of us were in a room together playing online, yelling at each other.
Old LAN parties.
While the people we're playing against, was who knows where. But yeah, it to me, Medal of Honor holds a specific place in my heart over Call of Duty, which it's nice to see it trying to make a comeback. The VR thing, yeah. Looking at this trailer, the arms where it cuts off at the forearm.
Oh, but that they always do that. That
bothers me so bad.
Yeah, that's a VR thing in general, not just Medal of Honor.
The limp wrist VR thing also bothers me. But yeah,
I'm excited to see Medal of Honor back in some capacity. It does. Right. I think it does look cool.
And I agree with you there.
But I thought putting it news-wise right behind Cyberpunk was exactly where it needed to go, Jason.
Yeah.
Speaking of things not maybe getting a lot of attention, but probably should, I think BioWare's on fire, Jason. Like, are their buildings burning yet?
No, aren't they based out of Edmonton? Is that their main? They have a studio in Edmonton. They have the one in
And then Austin.
Austin. That's right. Yeah, so one in Edmonton is not on fire because it's too cold there. But Austin maybe.
Austin, maybe. Why? What's going on?
People are leaving. The rats fleeing the sinking ship.
Oh, come on. That is, to be fair, that is not what any of them said.
Well, that's not what they're ever going to say. I'm not going to say, well, this company
that is not what any of them even remotely implied.
It's got to read between the lines, man.
Yeah, no one ever says that. When I leave him Mobomb, I'll say it was a wonderful experience. While behind the back, I'll be like, that Brewer guy, he pissed me off. That'll be on my AMA, yeah. But
and
yeah,
I know,
Casey
Yad,
Hudson,
you were probably like forlorn when you saw
It
this.
does suck.
Casey
It
Hudson,
does.
BioWare's general manager, is leaving, and Mark Darrah,
Right.
the executive producer of Dragon Age, the franchise, they're both leaving the company before the end of the year. It should be pointed out, by the way, that this marks Casey Hudson's second departure
Right.
from BioWare. He bailed when Anthem was not doing well behind the scenes and then came back to help finish that off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his second departure. And Jason, you have a little extra note here since we did bring up Mass Effect on the last show we did prior to the holidays. The Mass Effect side of things going forward will be led by Mike Gamble. If you need reference or a frame of reference here, Mike Gamble was the producer on
2 big hits.
Mass Effect Andromeda and was the lead producer of Anthem.
Exactly.
You're in good hands, BioWare.
Now, of course, both of them departed. They did say like all the kind, normal things, and that the franchises that they work on, Dragon Age and other things respectively, are in capable hands. And Dragon Age in particular is very far down the developmental path, so it really shouldn't be a huge impact, etc. Like all the normal things that you expect them to say. But I'm sorry, BioWare has been kind of eating itself alive for a little while now, and if you read the notices, I can't tell if this is exactly of their own accord or not either. Like, they do reference the decision to leave was a very difficult one, but I don't know, because EA executive Laura Mia, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I think it's Miele, announced the departure, saying, "I want to personally thank Casey and Mark for everything they've done for the BioWare community and particularly for our players. They will always be an essential part of the studio's history. We appreciate their many contributions and we look forward to seeing what they'll each do next." In both of their private statements, they kind of really didn't have anything to share on what they were doing next. This wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go leave and be more with my family, or I want to work on small indie projects. We don't really know. So I don't know if this was a like quit or you're fired type situation, or if it's genuinely them just leaving of their own accord, Jan.
That statement feels kind of bullet to the back of the head to me. like
I don't think it's that brutal, but
I don't know. Corporate speak wise, that's pretty harsh. But the fact that they announced the remaster of Mass Effect trilogy and claimed that it was going to be in veteran hands, and then this veteran of the Mass Effect series leaves. Dragon Age, I wasn't that into Dragon Age. I was more of a sci-fi Mass Effect dude. So the Dragon Age thing, okay, cool. We'll see how that plays
maybe
out.
Mike Gamble will surprise you.
Maybe.
Yeah, and
But-
honestly, no matter what, I don't think any game is necessarily. It's not made by one person. So
No, it absolutely
But-
isn't. But
But you need that guy with the oversight.
sure,
You need that Kojima there.
he's a person.
He is. And
he's a
he sticks his
person.
finger in the DNA of the games, and it makes them better.
So we'll
So,
be
yeah.
watching it. I am Jason. I if there was ever a nail in Anthem's coffin,
Right?
maybe those were the guys who didn't want it to go free to play or make the big step or whatever they're going to need to revitalize, and they're getting rid of them now so they can revitalize Anthem. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It just
Yeah.
at minimum, let's say it's no impact to the entire teams. They already are well established and know where they're going with all of the titles. It's still just not a good look.
No.
At minimum, it just looks bad, if nothing else, particularly in the middle of we're working a new Mass Effect. Our last one wasn't that great. Even our last good one still had problems that our fans hated. Our last big budget thing blew up in our face to the point that we're still trying to find which colored wire to cut so it doesn't explode again. Oh, by the way, now these guys are leaving. Oh, by the way, one of them's already left and come back once. So, but if you need some good news, if you want something else to play, let's talk about Immortals Phoenix Rising, which came out this week. I did a little bit of streaming for it yesterday. Jason, has this been on your radar at all?
The funny thing is, it really hasn't. Seeing the old trailers, whatever, around E3 or whenever it was, I was just like, yeah, whatever. It looks kind of cute, whatever. But I saw both you and I watched the other Mike B stream it over the past couple of days, and I was surprised that it does have that Breath of the Wild kind of look to it, or Genshin Impact, whatever you want to call it. And now, having seen that, it actually looks a little more interesting to me. It's something I might be interested in.
I'm having a blast with it. I played 2.5 hours Thursday, was it? Yeah, Thursday behind the scenes, and then streamed yesterday for 4 hours after, do an emergency State of the Realm on No Notice with Mr. Happy and Sly, which was fun. Go check that out. So I'm probably about 5 or 6 hours into it. And yeah, it's definitely got, the Breath of the Wild inspiration, that type of gliding, and there's shrines, and there's puzzles, and there's this, and there's combat. And honestly, for me, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's probably one of Ubisoft's best games this year, and that is with Assassin's Creed, which to me was just more of the same with a different skin. Looking at their entire lineup, I honestly think this might be my favorite game from Ubisoft this year, Yad.
I can't blame them for Valhalla being very similar to the last one with a different skin, because it worked really well.
Yeah.
And the amount of time they put into Valhalla, I think, pushes it past this game. I didn't get a chance to watch your stream. But I did go over the website for this game and checked it out. And I like the fact that you can kind of customize your character a bit, and
and you can do it whenever you want. If you end up hating your look after 2 hours, you can just go in game.
Really?
Change it.
I
again.
did not know that. Okay,
yeah.
that's
in the
cool.
Hall of
That's
the Gods. You
cool.
sit down in a chair that Hermes describes as this is where we cut off our skin to make ourselves look different if we want to.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And that is pretty cool. And yeah, the rest of the gameplay and the story seems really interesting. But I don't think it stands up to Valhalla. But that might be just me. I do love Vikings and all that stuff, so there is that.
Yeah, if you're looking for something a little more realistic looking, then obviously, Jason, this isn't it.
Yeah.
In fact, some of the animations are downright goofy. Their running animation looks like they're trying to get to an outhouse real quick because they're about to shit themselves. And sometimes the faces just look horrible on some of these things. But the writing, it's hit and miss. I mean, it is very comedic. You do not expect something overly serious. Sometimes it's very funny. Sometimes you're going to groan. But all in all, about 5-6 hours or so into it, I'm finding it very, very, very enjoyable. I'm playing on the PS5. Jason, if you played, I guess you'd be doing PC probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about the dialogue too, the way Zeus talks especially makes me think that it's like when Loki was masquerading as Zeus in one of the Thor movies, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really compare Zeus to Odin. Zeus is kind of a dick.
Zeus, Odin. Yeah, well, yeah, Zeus. Oh, I got Zeus and Odin mixed up. My bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm totally.
If you like puzzles, world puzzles, and I should say that there's two categories of puzzles in this game. One are actual physics thought puzzles. The other ones are okay, I gotta find 5 stars and put them on this map to make a constellation, but I've got to figure out where the hell in the environment right around the puzzle these 5 stars actually are. So it's more finding the pieces than actual puzzle solving. So you've got like those 2 categories. You do have combat in here with light, heavy, and arrow-based combat, and the story is pleasant. Tons of shit to do as far as it is very one of those. The draw distance is so far, you'll find, what is that? Or I'm going to go check that out and just totally forget about the story for a little while. So did Genshin impact me in that kind of way? Where Genshin, I would turn the camera and go, what is that glowing over there? Well, let's go see. Oh, it's 200 or 2,000 meters away. Well, shit. All right, we're already walking. Let's go. I'm really, really enjoying it. So check it out. I'm sure I'll be streaming it more this week. Either Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Last thing before we go to the game of the week, Jason, this is very near and dear to your heart, so I'm going to let you take over here. You apparently are justifying the weirdness that is you here. Is all I can see.
One of the many ways of weirdness, because one of the first things I do whenever I get into a new game, any sort of like game with 3D aspects to it, going around the world or whatever, I always have to look to see if they have invert y-axis as an option somewhere in the controls.
Is that with every game? Like, I get it for flight games.
Yes, every game.
Every game you do this?
Now there are a few, like some third-person games I don't do it. Like World of Warships is one that I don't do it actually for whatever reason, because I'm aiming down the sights. But I don't know what it is. I don't know what exactly causes it in some of them. Any first-person game, absolutely, I have to have it. Absolutely, any first-person game. Most third-person games. And someone actually brought a pretty good explanation for that. It's like when you pull back on the stick to make you look up, that's like pulling back on your head to make you look up. It makes sense. Going forward, you look down. So that's how I justify that making sense now if everyone ever asks me about it. But so apparently The Guardian, theguardian.com, they posted an article about this a few months ago, and they got like 1,000 responses to it. Half of them saying, yeah, that's the right way to do it. The other half saying, you people are crazy. So they saw that, and some scientists saw that, and now they're actually doing a study on it to figure out why some people do that and why some don't. So unfortunately, they've already gotten enough respondents to the study that they're going to do the experiments on, whatever, so I can't get in, which I'd love to, but it is scientific research now going into why I'm weird. So yeah.
You are weird.
Yeah,
you are absolutely weird.
Leave us a note in the comments below to let us know if you are also.
If it was,
y-axis
if
guy.
you were talking about like Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'd be like, yeah, you have inverted. You're flying a plane. You have inverted flight controls.
What's the difference?
That's the way a plane flies.
Right.
I'm moving me.
That's the way a plane
That's
flies.
how my head works too. You push back on my head, I look up. You push forward on my head, I look down. Makes sense.
And I did have a little theory on that, reading through that stuff. First of all, was the plane thing. For anybody who's actually flown a plane, that is how a plane works. You push down, you pull up on the yoke and the plane goes up. You push down on it, and or you push forward on it and it goes down. The other thing is some of the older like PS2 and previous games I remember playing. I think Parasite Eve 2 kind of did it, where when you enter one screen, your up is no longer up and your down is no longer down because of how you entered that screen. So maybe it has something to do with that, but it's just a hypothesis. It's just something I was thinking about when reading the article.
Or, Jason, you're just insane.
You guys are the weird ones.
Yeah, we're the weird ones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, it's time to do our game of the week. Gives a game of the week to you, and you let us know in the comments below or on our Twitch channel who gave the best recommendation for the week. I'm going to go first because mine's going to be easily apparent. You probably already know. I'm going to recommend Immortals Fenyx Rising. I think it's definitely worth your time if you're looking for something a little sillier with a ton of shit to do, and exploration being a huge, huge, huge part of the game. Yeah, Immortals Fenyx Rising, I think it's Ubisoft's best title of the year. Jason.
I'm going to go with Wasteland 3. I've been streaming it a bunch on my Ready Check Radio stream, and now I'm playing it offline as well. Really enjoyable tactical RPG, which I'm not usually into. I'm usually not real good at those XCOM kind of games, but I'm doing pretty well with that. Main characters of Mike and also of Faye, one of our other streamers, and
Yep.
not getting them killed yet. Still working on that. We'll see if I get them killed. But yeah, really good, really a lot of fun. The battles are interesting, and the dialogue and the story and all of that is also really good too. It's by some of the people who did the original Fallout game. So if you're into those, definitely check out Wasteland 3. I will say I got the code from a developer. This is not a paid endorsement or whatever. Blah blah blah. So.
Hey, your Discord cleared up.
Oh, finally!
Just in time.
Sure.
Yod, go ahead.
I think this is a good time to jump back into Final Fantasy XIV because you got the patch coming up on Tuesday, and you might want to be like slow like me and want to grind that relic up to the point where you're ready for the next, patch. So yeah.
All right, there are your choices, chat. Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Wasteland 3, and Final Fantasy 14. Let us know who gave the best recommendation for the game of the week. Next week, we'll be debating, along with normal news, we'll be debating the best video game console in history in each of our opinions. So make sure you bring your choices and your bets. And don't forget, we'll be reviewing the winners at the Game Awards to see how well we did with our 5 categories of predictions. Jason's got them written down, so we'll see how everybody did. After the show today, though, we've got Torchwick continuing his adventure through Final Fantasy VI, I believe. How are you, Torchwick?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, look at you. What do you got that hat? What is on that hat?
Skull, and it says Unisonus. It's some merch from a YouTube channel that used to exist and doesn't anymore.
Oh, all right. So you're going to continue your stream of Final Fantasy VI on Games Older Than Me.
Mm-hmm. I believe we're about to go to a floating continent. I'm not sure if we'll be able to come back, so I'm hoping I didn't miss anything.
I love watching you make some of these choices for the first time. I will say that. So chat, stick around. Torchwick will be streaming some Final Fantasy. Jason just got it. Taking the stream over. So chat, hang out. Don't go anywhere. The channel will go dead for just a moment or two while we switch over. And then you can watch some very awesome decisions being made by somebody's first time through Final Fantasy VI. We'll be back next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, Yod, where can everybody find you?
Yod Artworks on Twitter, on Facebook, yodartworks.com. So, wherever it says that, it's probably me.
Jason.
Twitter, Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/Jason Winter, and that's also me.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at MagicMan1 on Twitter, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio so we can tweet at you with all the shows and streamers and every time we go live. Until next time, stay safe. Later.